Imagine this. Something just happened in your life that made it suddenly more stressful than it was previously. Maybe a relative died, your workload for school is getting really heavy because it's exam week, or you just haven't been feeling it lately. Instead of having to confront and deal with all the issues and stresses in your life, you probably would try to escape into things to avoid all the stress. Procrastinating or avoiding things usually leads to people being on their phones, keeping themselves busy to provide a distraction. But what if I told you there was a virtual world where you could escape any of the bad parts of reality? Now imagine this. You could go anywhere, be, do, say anything without having to worry about what is going on in reality. Where all the most entertaining things in the world only await a short trip across what will be known as the Oasis. Ready Player One, a movie adaptation of the book written by Ernest Cline, makes this hypothetical visible. In the Oasis, you can ride a bike, be in the circus, and do as you want. The Oasis is the player's oyster. This, as shown in the beginning of the movie, is the Stacks neighborhood of Columbus, Ohio, in 2045, where the main character of Ready Player One, Wade Watts, lives with his aunt and her boyfriend. The Stacks are essentially a stack of trailers put together for people who can't afford housing elsewhere. It's basically one step from homelessness. The beginning of the movie is really quite essential to understanding both the rest of the movie and its themes. What escapism actually means, and why it's so important to the movie. As shown here from Google, escapism is defined as the tendency to seek distraction and relief from unpleasant realities, especially by seeking entertainment or engaging in fantasy. And right there, under the definition, is what I'm going to talk about. Virtual reality offers a form of escapism. This offer is more of a temporary deal, but I'll explain that later. Virtual reality, which would be the Oasis in Ready Player One, offers a form of escapism, but in a unique way. Instead of just allowing a form of escape without building on other works and references to things from other creations, Ready Player One uses illusions in the Oasis to build escapism. Illusion is defined as an expression designed to call something to mind without mentioning it explicitly, an indirect or passing reference. But what makes something an illusion, not a reference? An illusion requires a few features. It must be brief, indirect, and reference something else. Usually, an illusion references something historical or another art form. You can also reference pop culture or current events. Illusions must be brief. Now, the Ready Player One movie is full of these. Ready Player One, the use of illusion contributes to the portrayal of the themes of escapism by alluding to various works that have escapist elements. I have developed underlying themes that outline each of the themes of escapism outlined by Allusion. Number 1. In an Oasis, people, cultures, and communities mask their identities with things that allude to other works. Number 2. In the Oasis, escaping to nostalgia relies on the use of allusions to retro culture. Number 3. In the Oasis, intertextuality provides an example of the idolization building on previous works. It is important to remember that almost all the allusions in the movie were centered around Halliday's Easter egg. The hunt for Halliday's Easter egg, which in collection would mean the subsequent ownership of Halliday's share of gregarious games and the control of Oasis valued at $500 billion. This motivation is the underlying factor in most of the allusions and themes reflected in the characters and context throughout the movie. Hence, the allusions in the game were focused on Halliday and the Easter egg. In the Oasis, people, cultures, and communities mask their identities with things that allude to other works. People in the Oasis don't look like they do in real life, and there's a reason for that. If you could be anyone you wanted to be, any form, person, character, or sex, then why would you be yourself? Instead of being a basic white male with obesity problems, you could be a 6'4" armed warrior from another planet. Allusion plays into this because of the use of characters from other works. One of the most common paths to take in the Oasis for your character is to be a person from a famous work. Throughout the movie, allusions to characters from other works are rampant. From Halo, to Iron Giant, to Sonic, and Harley Quinn, everybody seems to be a character alluding to another famous work. All of these characters alluded to are in passing and indirect, but they help build the virtual world and make it more immersive. It is much easier to use a character that is already deeply embedded in pop culture and use it to build the identity of the player's character. Using characters within a certain culture or community means you can easily approach and befriend someone based on their appearance, because it matches their interests. It is like having a big sign that says your interests. As for escapism, the player in real life looks nothing like the character they play in the Oasis. As a result, they distance themselves from their reality and the physical characteristics they actually have. If someone has insecurities with their size and in-game they are huge and have large muscularity, chances are their muscle content IRL will not change. Instead, the focus changes to the more desired reality. And the example of this is Sho, an Asian 11-year-old and friend of Parzival's in the movie. The thing is, he isn't a friend of Wade Watts though, even though he's a friend of Parzival. Even though Parzival and Wade are technically the same person. At the same time, Sho is not even close to the super combat ready ninja he plays in the Oasis. He has escaped his age. In the Oasis, escaping into nostalgia relies on the use of allusions to retro culture. In a more retro-themed and hero-accompanied theme, Ready Player One shows us the power of the past and subsequent use of nostalgia. Reflection on the past is a unique time of escape form of the present because you can't really escape into the future because it doesn't exist. With the Oasis, the past is forever recreated in projects and searched for to find anything that will help the players win the egg. It's like retro video games and movie references push a player further from the present. Just one example is Wade, who seems to know everything about Halliday's life, more than his own. He knows every detail of Halliday's past and all of his favorite parts of retro culture. His whole world practically revolves around Halliday's. Because of this, he surrounds himself in retro culture. He drives a DeLorean from Back to the Future, rocks an 80s punk look, and doesn't seem to care that him and his aunt are still living in the stacks. He doesn't have a good relationship with the one relative he has left, and eventually got them blown up. Everything changes when Artemis enters his life. She's very reality-driven, motivated to find the egg to beat IOI, the second largest company based in the Oasis debt collection and revenue business. IOI took her father in real life, let him grow old and die in a debt collection center paying back his debts online. She only wants her life back in the real world, and helps Wade realize that there is and should be more to him than Parzival. At the same time, Artemis realizes the danger of mixing reality with life in the Oasis. Separation keeps reality from becoming mixed, and blending leaves no room for distinction. The absence of illusions surrounding Artemis shows that the creators of the movie were trying to tell the viewer that reality needs to be prioritized and distinctive over nostalgic illusions and escape in the Oasis. In the Oasis, intertextuality provides an example of idolization and building on previous works. As I mentioned earlier, Wade Watts seems to know more about Halliday's life than his own. He knows everything, including, but not limited to, his favorite games, food, songs, shows, love life, and friends. He says at the beginning of the movie,
"These days, reality is a bummer. Everyone's looking for a way to escape. And that's why that's why he was such a hero to us. He showed us that we could go somewhere without going anywhere at all."
Wade Watts idolizes Halliday, and the building of other works through intertextuality facilitates that in the form of obsession and idolization. Parzival's obsession with Halliday and his illusions is ultimately what led us to the theme along the quest with the hero. Because if Wade hadn't known so much about Halliday and all the illusions like the adventure shown here, then we never would have figured out what the final theme the creators were trying to get across was. Adventure as an illusion carries the last 30 minutes of the film by creating the most tense and obsession-filled competition to get the last key, now that they know how to get it. Adventure playing its role as an illusion, the bigger part of Wade's escape in the form of obsession with Halliday and the culture of his life, both in nostalgia, character creation, and idolization of James Halliday, finishes the movie and brings out the final, most influential message about escapism to life.
Connect with the people there. I was afraid for all of my life, right up until the day I knew my life was ending. And that was when I realized that as terrifying and painful as reality can be, it's also the only place that you can get a decent meal. Reality is real.
Wade Watts knows so much that he forgets to live his full life. Escape into the Oasis was only ever meant to be temporary. It is a short bliss. That is the last and most important message Ernest Cline was trying to tell us. Reality must be faced. It can't be avoided. I loved the book before the movie, and Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. It might be a little cheesy in the film or seem too surface level, but beneath the surface is a message that should be taken in by every new generation. I hope you guys liked the video because I spent a lot of time on it, and I think it's somewhat decent. Thanks for watching.